Not really.
No?
We don't really have a dragon boating coach, not a full-time one. We have a dragon boating manager. She does her best.
Yeah.
And then we
Our
just
coach
kind of.
loves to take his GoPro out on the boat and he's like filming everybody. Oh yeah, good times.
Okay, so I'll just go over all the basic stuff.
Yep.
Am I sitting in the middle?
Yes, you are.
Yep, we see you.
Okay,
Yep.
so all the stuff that you already know, but I'll just go through the entire
that's
the
perfectly fine.
4 or 5 parts of the stroke. So holding the paddle, it's hard to tell versus on this paddle because, and you'll notice it when you're pulling through the water. It's a dragon boat paddle, it's not an outrigger paddle, so it'll feel different and it'll exit differently than an outrigger paddle, right? So don't worry about that when you're exiting because it'll feel really strong. But you know, if this were an outrigger paddle, you know, hands fist width above the blade, along the T-grip, your thumb along the T-grip, power triangle. And remember, you want the shaft of the paddle vertical, outside the gunwale of the boat, right? So you got the power triangle, but in order to get that shaft vertical, you probably have to bend your elbow here, right? You want your elbow below your shoulder, so don't do the dragon boat thing of you know, really like dragon boaters will stack their shoulders like way up like that, right?
Yeah.
But the thing is that for an outrigger paddler over the course of, you know, 10 or 15 kilometers, hour and a half, whatever, that's gonna wear on your shoulder a lot
Got
more
it.
than what your dragon boat is. So you want to keep your elbow below your shoulder to keep your shoulder a bit more stable, your top shoulder a bit more stable. The other thing too is that when you're holding it like that, you know, part of keeping this whole sort of shoulder complex stable is that you can actually feel, you want to feel it in your, I guess, your front tail when you're in like this. Then you can also feel it in your pec right here. Like Rob, our WMD coach, says that he feels it in his neck when you're pulling through, and that's actually true because when you're pulling like this through, you're basically doing this movement, right?
Okay.
And that's a pec movement, right? Whereas this movement is like a front delt movement, right? So if you've planted already and then you're pulling through, when you're pulling through, you should be able to feel it in your pec right here because you're bringing your upper arm across your chest like this.
Oh, because you're
Right.
not really bringing it down, because when you're bringing it down, you're closing that space. under your
Yeah,
armpit.
exactly. So once you've planted already, you've already gone as deep as you really want to go. And then it's, you know, it's pulling back. And part of that is bringing this back like that, right? And like you're just saying, and this is one of the other things that Rob tells us, is that when you're going down in the power triangle, keep this underarm open here, right? So it's down and then down. And so the way that I want you guys to have your feet in your stance, to the extent you can, is to have your paddle side leg forward, the other one tucked away under your seat, so you can you're actually getting off your seat like this, right?
Okay.
So this leg that's underneath me is supporting my weight, right? And sometimes when I'm sitting in the canoe, depending on where I am in the canoe, because the seat height above the floor of the canoe varies depending on if you're near the front or near the back or the middle, that sort of thing. And that's also consistent with where we place taller people in the canoe. So, you know, we'll place taller people in the middle, right, versus the ends. So, you know, you'll have more space. For taller people, you'll have more space underneath the seat. But ideally, you want to get up over top of your blade on the catch. So that's part of leading with your hip, leading with your leg. Remember, I want you to lead with your hip on the recovery as well as on the pull. So on the recovery, it's that, and you're practically getting off your seat. Right? If I'm in a short part of the canoe, my knee will practically be touching the floor. The knee that's underneath me will practically be touching the floor. I'll be doing like this, right? We're practically kneeling on the floor, depending on you know what seat I'm in and the stance on, and the canoe too, because the canoes vary. Yeah, I think like the Bradley might have the seats lower to the floor than the boat as well. Okay, so you want to get over the blade, plant, and then pull. So it's leading with your leg on the recovery, hinging from your waist, planting down. Now this seat here is actually kind of low to the floor, because when I'm going like this, even without a life jacket, my belly is hitting the top of my leg. But anyway, so it's like that. And you want to get this paddle side shoulder forward and hinge down for catch, right? So put the beer on the coffee table, that's reaching out a little bit further and down. You don't want to stack your shoulders, but this shoulder, some people say to keep your shoulders level, but this shoulder will drop down, okay? It's not going to be like that, but it's going to be like that.
So put the beer on the
Put the beer on the coffee table.
So that means really you're really reaching
planting
forward.
across
Reaching
your-
forward with that lower hump.
Yeah, you really plant
Right?
like that.
Yeah. Remember the drill we did where we tapped the side of the hump
Yeah.
below the skirt?
No.
Okay, there was a hinge drill. Maybe we did it once or twice, where you tap the side of the boat below the skirt, and that will mimic the spot where you're going to be hinging towards.
Okay.
The other drill that we did was the
That
hinging down like this. That's the other drill we did, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the same place here, there, and if I'm tapping, that's the same place, right?
Okay.
So it's so I'll just go through all the components of the stroke then. So it's I'll start with the recovery. Lead with your hip. Okay. Oh, well, first of all, power triangle. Lead with your hip, coming forward. Oh, that. So.
I got it.
Okay.
I got it. Hello.
Hello.
I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
I'm so
Traffic.
sorry.
Hey, girl.
Oh, you didn't need to bring a blade. We have these wonderful dragon
Oh, look at that.
because of the floor of the bottom of the tank. Okay, so I'm just giving over the rundown of the elements of the stroke. So I'll start from the beginning again.
Sorry.
That's okay. It's only 5 years. So it won't take long to go through the actual technique.
Well, and there's two other things.
That's
that
just
I-
a paddling.
You'll get to
Yeah.
them.
Never
So.
thought rain would be boots.
That's right, Julie. Great, you too.
Paul, you can see from there.
What's that?
You can see from there.
Okay.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, so basically I went back through all the basics. So it's like holding the paddle, fist width above the blade, holding the T-grip, thumbs along the T-grip, power triangle. When you're pulling back, you want the shaft of the paddle straight up and down. You don't want it flared out like that. You want this alongside the gunnel of the canoe. Okay? So in order to do that with your power triangle, you probably have to bend this elbow. Okay? And you want this elbow to be below your shoulder.
Right.
You don't want to have the big dragon boating thing where it's like this, where this arm is really high up.
Yeah.
Because for outrigger purposes, the races are much longer distance
Yeah.
and much longer in terms of duration, so that you're gonna get shoulder issues if you do that stacking a lot during outrigger. So you want to keep that elbow below your shoulder. But the other thing too is that you still want to drop this shoulder for the hinge, right? So one other thing I mentioned is when you're pulling this back like this, this elbow will be bent, but you can also, like, if you're pushing down like this, that's all front delt. But if you're pulling like this, like our coach Rob says that you should be able to feel it in your neck here.
Yep.
And so if you're pulling like this, you will feel it in your neck right here, because that's a movement like this,
Yep.
right? So you'll feel that in your pec
Yep.
right there. And so you'll feel the resistance of the paddle in the water, and then you'll feel like this. You'll feel that in your pec, okay? So you don't want to use momentum to push down, but you want to hinge plant, and then feel that. And the other thing too is that if you actually have your elbow low, you'll feel it more in your pec than if you had your elbow high. So if you have your elbow high, you'll feel it in your delt. If you have your elbow low, you'll feel it in your pec. So I'm just going to go over the 5 parts of the stroke. So starting with the recovery, it's, the other thing I mentioned was the leg that's tucked under your seat is really tucked under. So you want to get off your seat on the recovery, like that, basically, for the catch. Get your weight onto the plate like this. And that's, and that's not necessarily for every single stroke during the course of a race or a practice or whatever, but whenever there's a power series, or when you're trying to catch another boat or anything like that, you want to have a lot of emphasis. You want to get way over your plate, like that, right? In, and then drive back with that leg, right? So in terms of the elements of the stroke, it's hard triangle, lead with your leg. So lead with your leg on both the recovery and the drive back. So it's lead with your leg. So this hip comes forward before my arms come forward. So I don't want you to, like this, for the, move your arms forward for the catch. It's move your hip forward, then your triangle comes forward, and you're putting the beer on the coffee table, your lower arm comes forward, and then rotate down. So on this element here, see, my paddle is practically behind me as I'm moving my hip forward. I'm not moving my arms forward first. So I'm getting my body into position, then when I'm forward, I rotate down.
So when you say rotate down, what's rotate?
Well, on the pull, you are going to be sort of releasing the rotation that you've created on the reach. So when I reach forward, to put the beer on the coffee table, my shoulders rotate this way, right? So this arm comes forward and then down. And then when I pull, I release that spring, however you want to pull. So this is rotated forward on the recovery, and it's rotated back on the pull. And you don't want to come back further. You don't want to come back here. You want to just exit at your knee so you can see my knee pretty clearly. And so on the recovery, in order to keep the blade low to the water, this top hand can come down. So it's sealed straight up and down on the pull. Then on the recovery, it's like that. It's not like that. So it's not like, so actually, yeah, practice yesterday. Tim was going like this. A little bit too high, like up here instead of here. So this top part, I think, must have been coming down a little bit too much. See how this comes up there? So keep this hand roughly between your upper chest and top of your head, in front of your face. So it's, you want to keep your posture, so you want to have that little hollow in your lower back. Keep your chest up, down like that. So you don't want to round over your shoulders. You don't want to sit up like this. You want to stay leaning forward. Does that make sense?
So a lot of the foundation of the pull, the strength, I guess, is coming from the hips and the legs.
Hips and legs, yeah.
And the back is there is just as a support, really.
Yeah. The other way, the way it's described sometimes is that your arms are just struts. So it's going forward, in, and then the force that's being generated by legs, it's transmitted through my core, through my arms to the paddle. So you're not seeing my arms bend a lot. See, if I did it really rigidly like this, you're not seeing my arms bend a lot. So your arms are really only bend on the exit, right?
So really, you're just transferring movement from like the leg,
Yeah,
all
exactly.
the way
That's
to
what
the
you want to
paddle.
do. That's what you want to do. You don't want to do this because if you're directing force downwards, all that really does is pop the boat up, right? That's not propelling the boat forward. Or like if you think back to high school physics and vectors, if you've got a curve like this, is there only a lateral component that's like a little bit of force and a big component that's downward force, right? The downward force is going to pop the boat up, even opposite reaction type of thing, right? Whereas the pulling back will propel the boat forwards, but if that's a smaller component of the force you're applying, it's not as effective, right? So you don't want to be doing that. The other thing is that if you're doing this, you're also creating bounce in the boat, right? You want to keep it smooth, so it's shift your body, shift to the lower half of your body, shift your hips forward, like that. Okay. Recovery, hinge down for catch, hinge from your waist, fully in. So we'll say solid catch, anchor your blade, catch before you pull. Those are all the calls to have you focus at the front to fully submerge your blade before you pull back. Okay? And then we also say after that, for the pulling phase, that's where you lead with your leg, pulling back. So once it's submerged, don't pull with your arms like this. And don't just do that and keep your legs locked in, because you want the assistance of your legs, because it's the biggest muscle, right? So you want to use your legs to break the tension in the front of the stroke rather than catch, because that's where the water's the heaviest. So you're fully in, use your leg, and then as you come back, you engage your core, and then as you pick up a little bit of speed through the stroke, then you can engage your lats and core and spin through the rotation, right? Because the speed of the paddle should be the fastest at the back of the stroke. So when you're going in, the blade speed through the water is slow, and then the fastest. As you're paddling through, you're accelerating the blade, so it's going in, and it's really heavy there, and it's going faster, and then you flick out. Right? And so when you're flicking out the paddle at the back, it provides the least amount of resistance or drag on the boat, right? So that provides the least amount of resistance or drag on the boat, right? And then the way you're exiting, there's a different ways to exit. I tend to just like let my wrist kind of flip around, but the other way is to move your elbow up to throw the frisbee or feed the chickens or make room under your arm like this. So I usually exit like this and then kind of let my wrist go like that, forward. Some people may not find that comfortable. Or I will even like on the pull, I'll use a thumbless grip. So it's just like that, right? And then on the recovery, it's going to be like that. So I don't have a death grip on the paddle throughout the stroke, right? So it's focusing on the pull. So when you're pulling, there's resistance from the water against your blade, so you can have a thumbless grip, right? But then when you're going out, you want the paddle to move forward, so it's in the crook of my thumb and finger. Like that in. So that actually allows me to stretch my fingers a little bit. You want to flick it out back, so there's no drag. Dragging your blade's worse than missing your catch, because if you're dragging your blade, you're counteracting everybody's power in the boat. Whereas if you're missing your catch, you're just not adding to power, right? So if you're actually dragging, you're counteracting all the other paddlers in front of you or behind you. Whereas if you're missing your catch, you're just not adding. You're more neutral. So the other way is to get this elbow up. It's actually more of a movement in your arm. And I find that to be a bit more tiring, because it's like you're moving your arm. Do that, right? So I tend to do it just with my wrist. Let's see, recovery, that takes us to the entire thing. So So you want to accelerate the blade through the water. You always want to feel pressure on the power face of the blade, which is the back of the blade. All right. So you want to feel pressure from the catch all the way through to the exit. Okay. You don't want to rip through like this, because if you rip through and you've got a negative angle at the catch, you won't feel any pressure on the blade there until you get to here, and then it's really far back in the stroke, and that'll affect the blend in the canoe. Because ultimately, in terms of all the paddlers blending in the canoe, you want them all not only going in and out at the same time, but you want them all to apply power at the same time. So even if people are going in and out at the same time, they may be applying power at different times. Because like, if someone's going in like this, all their power is in the back here. Whereas if someone's going like this, that power is up here, right? And there's like a millisecond difference between applying power here and pushing on the back, applying power here. Oh, there's Jennifer. Howdy.
Hey,
Wandering
Jen.
around.
No, I'm early for this.
No, that's fine. It doesn't matter. So yeah, so everybody should apply power at the front and then accelerate their blade through and exit really quickly. Okay? That all makes sense?
Yep.
Okay. So hinge down from your waist. Okay. Exit at your knee. Short up front stroke, fully buried before you pull, pressure behind your blade for the exit. Yep. That one. Okay, so let's, there's some cutoff paddles in the back corner. So if each like to come along here, whoever's sitting here will be the person on camera and the person I'll be giving instructions to. Well, and you want a paddle that's a couple inches shorter than you normally use. This one's a 45.
I went to the first, but I'll set the second seat. What? Yeah, I'm gonna cheat.
You can cheat.
Darn right. Serious what cheating?
Is that cheating? There you go. Oh, here.
You're totally
No,
wrong.
wrong seat.
Oh my
Wrong
goodness.
seat. Wrong seat.
Yeah.
You gotta be in the hot seat.
No, I don't.
Oh, and actually, yeah, you should switch sides.
Do we switch sides just by turning around? Or
Uh,
switching over the other
Yeah,
side?
actually, it's like you're turning around, then you're still on time.
Sorry, is that better?
It feels a lot different. Yeah. Yeah. Relax a bit more.
Try accelerating a bit more as you get to your knee.
I'll be back in a second.
want to turn around? You want to do that? Or just like turn our bodies.
Okay.
Good?
Yep. Turn around and try the other side.
Oh, yes. It's like you're on the
Yeah. See, the thing is that it's easier to move your hip forward on these seats because they're slippery than it is in the canoes because there's foam on the canoes, right? Yeah, no, that looks good, Brian. So one of the things though too is that, okay, slow down the catch a little bit and make sure you're fully buried before you pull. You have to get your hip forward to get that positive angle on the catch. Yeah. No, that looks good. Yep. Okay, cool. Okay, Vanessa, you're up. Yeah, circle around. Circulate. Need the change rooms or anything? Cynthia went to the change room. She got the only key.
That's why I saw it locked, so I decided not to.
Oh no, she's got it. So just find her in the change room. She'll come back. Or you can knock and we'll let you in. Okay. Okay, try to get your elbow below your shoulder.
Yeah, I know. That's go forward, go forward. Okay, elbow down. Elbow, thumb along the way. Okay, good, yep. Actually, you move your foot. Yeah. Get your hip forward. Lead with your hip. Underneath you. Let me see. No. I'm just gonna look from the side here.
Try not to bob. Try to keep your torso angled forward throughout the stroke. Yeah, that's better. Try to rotate a bit more. Get the bottom hand forward more and then back like this. Try not to sit up. Hold on.
So your lower body moving forward, back. Yeah. This arm is definitely lower. The other side, your right side? That's fine. Muscle memory on the other side. Muscle memory on the other side, you're like that. On this side, it's like, yeah. Yeah, no, but I always say that the drag mode side's worse.
Yeah, okay, keep going. Feather your blade on the recovery. So top hand thumb rolls forward to feather. Yeah. Initiate with your leg. You're still moving your arms forward before your hip moves forward. Yeah. Move your hip forward before your arms move forward. Okay, so stop there. Now move your hip forward, keep your arms where they are. Yeah, then go. Yeah. There, that's good. Again. Hip before your arms move forward. Lead with your hip. Okay, that's cool. Okay, good. Okay, Tim, you're up. Oh, and there's a clipboard over there. You can write down any comments I had about you.
Okay, so quick question. Delts, right? Deltoids?
Yeah, what about them?
That's where they are.
Delts are, there's 3 delts. So there's like front, middle, and here, right?
Okay, so that you're saying we shouldn't necessarily be feeling the band, we should be feeling the
Well,
here.
you're feeling the front delt if you were pushing down a bit.
Okay.
Right?
And if you feel it over here,
You should feel a stretch in your lower and your rear delts because you're going forward and that's stabilizing your whole shoulder complex.
and then, but if you're doing it like you're saying, it should be kind of here.
Yeah, you should feel a bit of tension on your pec if possible. Yeah. Like yeah, because you don't want to for your top arm, you don't want to use your front delts all the time to push down, right? Because that's gonna mess up your shoulders over time and your rotator cuff. And then, but for the lower arm, you will be stretching out your rear delt because that's going forward, right? And that's going to help stabilize your lower arm when you pull back. Okay, you're pulling back too far. Exit at your knee. Even earlier. No, earlier. Hold on, slow it down. Now. Slow down, slow down now. Now. Slow it down, exit earlier. Exit earlier. Exit when your hand is at your knee. Yeah, okay. But still follow through. And flick it out more at the back. Okay, that's better. Yeah, that's better. So get your top hand over. You want to pull. You want to lean with your leg, right? So before